our little TV talk here. It has been a little bit since we've had a chance to chat, and in that time, a bunch of new shows have premiered as well as new shows have come back. Why don't we start with the show that everyone, well, not everyone, but everyone that we know is talking about, Resident Alien, Terry Pratchett. I'm sorry, World of Terry Pratchett, which is where The Watch, a television show on BBC America, inhabits. I've heard that they're kind of unhappy with that show because um, I don't know if you're familiar with Terry Pratchett outside of Good Omens, but he's a very irreverent type of storyteller. Like what that show takes seriously are the things that he was mocking in the books. So a lot of folks are on like the fence about the show, which they feel should be played more exact. So yeah, I've heard some negative things. I've been watching it, but I have to say I'm bored as hell. um, I actually thought about like dropping the watch. I haven't done that yet. I figured I'd just let the season run out and if it like I we talked about this recently. Now, people listening out there might not know this, but I like to watch old television shows. I recently watched the series Julia, a series about a black nurse, which took place and was filmed in the '60s. Really good show, a really interesting sitcom. But I like to watch old shows and film shows that get defunct. I like pilots that haven't been aired or weren't picked up. Those are great. For those out there who are interested in that kind of thing, look for a pilot for a TV series which is based on a movie called The Zero Effect. It's fantastic. Anyway, um, I watched the entire run of The Bionic Woman, the seven. So that's where I was going with. I watched the entire 7 episodes of Bionic Woman, and I did not know a lot of the things that were happening at the talked about it, and I did some other research, and apparently, um, as you mentioned, there was a writer strike around then, so a lot of the writing wasn't at the level I would consider for a good series, and the characterizations flip flopped around. The actress who plays Katie Keene, who seems to be doomed to getting everything she did does canceled early, or it just be bad material, even though she's a fucking delight. I watched this actress, and she's like some like '50s screwball comedic actress who can really got some range in her, and is still fun. But she gets this terrible material, or when she gets good material, it just the series fizzles. There was another series she did besides Katie Keene that got canceled. I believe it was called Life Sentence, where it was like, what if that girl from all those movies about someone dying early of cancer recovers from cancer, and she realizes like her whole life was a lie because they were trying to treat her, make her feel good. Her parents were getting divorced or were already divorced or something, and her husband was like, "Well, I only married you because I thought you were dying." I do love you, and it's so complicated now. It's complicated, right? And all these other things, like she never graduated high school because she was sick her whole. All these like little things. I thought it was a good try, and she was delightful in it. But it just got canceled like a lot of other shows. I the only thing that she did that has been somewhat successful was Pretty Little Liars. If you watch that show, you know who she is. If you haven't, then I can't recommend watching the show because it goes on way too long. But the first season was fun. I will say that. Anyway, so yeah, I watched that whole show. It had Katie Keene as the little sister and the Bionic Woman, and they set up a whole bunch of stuff on like this first pilot episode, and then the second episode, it seemed like they flipped so many switches. Like, well, we don't want to do that. We'll backpedal this. We'll change that. It had Katie Scott, is that her name? From Battlestar Galactica. I played Starbucks. Yeah. So yeah, it had her as an evil Bionic, and it had the actor who played the Asian main lead in Altered Carbon. It had a lot of good things going for it. It just seemed to be like, I don't know, all over the place. Once they finally kind of settled in on something, the show was canceled. I want to say that I liked it, but I like I liked a lot of the people in it. I like the idea of bringing it back. Like I think we talked about this off off the podcast here, off the cast, and we are both sort of familiar with the bionic world, having watched episodes as children, and being around nerds, and then being around nerdy people who are reference it or talk about it or get that idea from it. And I actually always thought it was a cool idea. And it was also at the time, and at the time, apparently, the Bionic Woman specifically was hugely popular. Apparently, she was a little bit of a phenomenon for a little while on television. I believe so. Yeah, I believe she got to be much more popular than the Bionic Man. Um, and I think it was a time, right, right, exactly. I think it was the whole time period, the 70s. They wanted people wanted equal rights, and this was strong physically, as well as intelligent wise, female character in a lead up show. She was the superpowered person, not the Bionic Man. It was her time, and I thought I believe it was around the same time. Yes, I think it was like a time where that storytelling was popular. So yeah, it's fun to see things take rebirth, take change. Sometimes they do a good job. Sometimes they catch on. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're so big that they can't fail. I'll point to a Star Trek in that way. That even though some people think a lot of what they do is subpar, they really can't fail because they even the people who don't like it and end up watching it. There's this great meme I saw online where it's got that when Data gets emotions in one of the I think it was in the movie. He goes to the bar and is tasting things and he's like, "Oh, that's awful," and the bartender's like, "More," and he's like, "Yes, please." And instead of that interaction, it's like, this is Star Trek fans. When they watch a Star Trek show, this is terrible. More, yes, please. And, and I have to admit, a lot of fans, will hate watch Star Trek, will rant about it. I've got some friends who watch. Or I've got some friends who watch a review station. I'm not going to name that station because I don't want to say anything negative about or seem like I'm saying anything negative about it. But they like to just piss on that show all the time. They spend whole hour-long episodes about what's wrong with the new Star Trek, and I'm like, yeah, you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. I mean, I don't love all the things I don't love all the things they do in it, and I definitely feel like it feels out of the realm of the Star Trek I like, the show, the type of reason I like Star Trek, which is mostly for people sitting around and having conversations. That's the Star Trek I like, where nothing happens, or just a little something. Oh my God! If they put one poker game in an episode of Discovery, you would actually get to understand who some of these characters are, aside from what their job is. It would be too much for the show. They don't have time for a characterization. It's just action and fun. Um, and that's what annoys me about Discovery. But like, I still watch it because it is action and fun. It's like a Stargate, except not as good. With better effects. It's just like this fun pop show, and to some extent, that's what Star Trek always has been. It's evolved over time. I feel this show is more like the original series, without the morality play aspect of it, than the Next Generation or Deep Space Nine was, or Voyager was. I feel like this is more closer to the roots discovery I'm talking about of Star Trek than a lot of fans want to admit. That being said, yeah. That being said, I wasn't a huge fan of the original Star Trek. That wasn't. I mean, I watched them all because there was only a certain amount of science fiction to watch when you were a kid. We didn't have streaming services when I was a youngin, so you could just watch what the library had, or your local rental places had, and so I watched all the Star Trek I could, and all the science fiction stuff I could, and I did not love the original series, but there were some aspects of it I liked, and I think the Next Generation world is more of what I enjoyed in the Star Trek universe. Deep Space Nine being my favorite of those shows. So yeah, well, it doesn't have that built-in fan base. I mean, the Star Trek world has years of cross promotion, cross pollination. I think you were going to say it's got years of uh, uh, shows that have come and gone. They pulled in new fans. The Bionic people just have those original diehard fans and all the kids that those people infected with that passion and it's great that it's kept alive so long, and I think it's cool. I think there was a Kevin Smith comic series a while back, maybe, or someone did a comic series for one of the Bionics, and yeah, there's a lot of interest in this world of Bionics, but they haven't, they don't have the fan base to just sustain something that even if it's on like shake legs, and the first season of Next Generation, the first season of Deep Space Nine, the first season of Voyager, most of those first seasons were real shaky. Um, you know, they were episodes like what's that, Honor and Glory or something from Next Generation season one, where the entire alien culture is this kind of terrible parody of black people. I don't know if you remember that episode where they captured Tasha Yar. Well, yeah, obviously, like besides old shows, I like to go through. Like I mentioned, Julia, for those fans of sitcoms out there, want to watch something old but fun. It's actually just streaming on YouTube. Um, yeah, you can just watch those right on YouTube. A lot of old shows are just streaming on YouTube, and some of those pilots I mentioned before you can find on YouTube. Um, which was which was the Extreme Ghostbusters? I don't remember that one. The Next Generation. Okay. How about some of the new shows that have premiered? Speaking of taking old material and making it new, the new Snoopy show came out. Yeah, it came out on Apple TV. Yeah, the 5th of February. I thought it was. Yeah, it was interesting. It was different. I haven't watched all the episodes. There are only I think six, but I've watched like two, and you know, so the season is over. I believe. I believe it's gonna be six episodes. That's it. I don't know for sure. I don't. Let me take a click on my assistant here. Yeah. It doesn't say that there's going to be another episode this season, but you never know. It was interesting. It was different, but the same. I don't know. I would recommend fans of the old Peanuts cartoons and stuff to check it out. They're interested. I think Apple TV. I've said this before, has got fantastic production value. I'm not a big fan of every show that they've produced, and even some of the shows I've watched all the episodes of, I'm not a big fan for on the Apple TV. But everything they've done has been just wonderful value when it came to production. It just looks beautiful. Speaking of Apple TV, this the 19th that just passed was the season two premiere of For All Mankind, Apple TV show. Another fantastic show. I don't even. I was not, to be honest. After season one, I couldn't believe that they were going to do a season two. I didn't know where they could go from there, and they just keep, taking it to this weird, interesting, Elseworlds place. For those not familiar with Elseworlds, it's sort of just like a parallel universe, which is a little different. And that's what For All Mankind is a show about. It's about a parallel world where Russians landed on the moon first, and because of that, the entire space race was different. And because of that, little things changed. Um, and the time where we're living in, there's a space base called Fort Jameson, I think, uh, on the or something like that on the moon, and there's some of the characters from the first show. You're seeing what they're doing now and how life has changed them, and yeah, oh yeah, there was a big time jump between season 1 and 2, and they kind of play this little uh, uh, few minute like segment where they overlay the alternate histories reality in news briefs across the screen. So you gotta like it's been like maybe 10 years between season 1 and season 2, um, and they explain like this is what's changed. Like the Pope got shot and killed, but uh, John Lennon got shot and only wounded. Like this alternate universe reality. They try to just like feed you in that little opening segment, and then they shoot back to the this alternate world of NASA, where they have like super awesome, amazing new spaceships, and they've got uh, uh, such advanced technology that the government is fighting with NASA, or not fighting, but trying to get a hold of more of the advanced technology to do more worry stuff, and all that kind of 80s. It's an interesting show. If you're down with the Elseworlds idea of this like parallel universe where things are just a little different. Is very so. Are you still there? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I hit my button. Sorry. No. Anyway. Yeah. So I really thought that show is good, and it's come back for a season 2, and season 1 was fun. You can watch the first few episodes of most of Apple shows for free on the Apple TV app or on their website, I believe. Okay, hold on. Sure. I'm getting feedback. I'm not sure what the feedback is like echo. You hear this? I do not hear an echo, but I did press a button. I think it was just the volume. Let me change it. Yeah. So I'm on. Hello? Okay. Yeah, it's probably just the button I accidentally pressed. It's hard when you have the controls of your headset on the headset. So when you go to adjust it, you accidentally touch the control. I was like, "Fuck! What did I press?" Like I pressed something. Okay. All right. Well, anyway. So I'll say what else came back. Big Hero 6. This is its third and final season, and then as I think I mentioned earlier, they've broken the episodes into two 15-minute vignette stories instead of one half-hour story. And that came back recently with some new episodes. Been playing, I think, Monday night on Disney DX. I love Big Hero 6. I've enjoyed the TV series. I'm sad it's being canceled, but Disney and their 3 seasons and you're done principle. Um, Snowpiercer came back with season 2. So it basically takes a lot of the ideas and the themes of the movie and kind of like just delves into the more interest and more in detail. And it's good if you like that. If you like what was going on in the movie, probably enjoy the show. But it is slower, and there's also a murder aspect to the story, which is the mystery of the season. The Expanse finished at the beginning of this month, beginning of February, with the fifth season's 10th episode, the season finale. Not for good, but just the season. I believe next season is the last season. But wow, it had quite an ending. I was at the edge of my seat. I don't know if anyone else. I was mad. I didn't realize it. I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't counting the episodes. And when I was like, "No, it's over! Well, curse you!" I was so upset. And the last episode, God, my heart broke in so many ways for what happened to some of the characters. I just couldn't believe it. Um, I was, taken away to that Expanse universe again, and I'm trying to decide if I should read the book because I've been reading the books after I've watched the season. But since this book, I believe, is more like the season, where it's kind of a big cliffhanger at the end. I think I might wait till the next season so I can read the two books together. So I've been reading a couple of the short novellas uh, just to get my Expanse fix in. Let's see. Mixed Dish has returned for season two. I freaking love Mixed Dish. I love everything about Mixed Dish. I highly recommend it. I think it's a fantastic take. I think it's exactly the type of show we need right now. I think it's a great show. Harrow, the Australian Broadcasting Company TV series, is come back with its third season. If anyone out there is a fan of Harrow, you might be a fan of Harrow actually because it plays on Hulu at the same time as it plays in Australia. So if you've gotten into Harrow, you could actually watch it as it comes out, which is fantastic. Harrow tells the story of Dr. Harrow. Well, I'm going to tell you. Harrow tells the story of Dr. Daniel Harrow, who is a forensic pathologist. He's brilliant and unorthodox, and he has a nose for murder. Because a whole pathologist. Anyway, so he does that, but also it's kind of a weird show because he's kind of not the best person, but he's also a cool guy. It's well done. I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot if you get into Harrow in season one that will break down. The seasons are short; they're only like a handful of episodes. It's an Australian show. It stars the once Mr. Fantastic um, Ian Guft. Do you remember Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four movies? Yeah, I can't pronounce this guy's name very well. It's Guffud? Gu- Guffud? Anyway, so he stars as Daniel Harrow. He was also that short-lived time in that kind of culty show, Forever. Did you watch that? People love that show. They still talk about that show. They're like, "Oh, did you ever watch this show?" I was like, "One season. Come on, guys, get over it." But it's actually so if you like that show, actually, his portrayal in this is very similar. He's got he's this guy who's all into the offbeat genius. Yeah, exactly. And there's a good little cast. He's got a daughter, got an ex-wife, his coworkers. They all do play a pretty good job, and they weave the story pretty well. And like the British shows, the Australian show, doesn't waste time with episodes that you don't need. Whatever's there, you get. That's why it's not long seasons. It's like 4 or 5 episodes, maybe six. Exactly, and you get like interesting things happening. So I like Harrow, and it's come back, and you can watch it on Hulu if you've got a Hulu subscription. Um, and if you're living in Australia and are listening to this, you're probably going, "Well, why are you talking about my show?" I think you would do that. Uh, uh, what else came back? Black Lightning came back. What? I'm so excited. They were both good. I loved it. I loved the show. I'm so sad this is the last season. Those evil CW people killing my Black Lightning show. I mean, if they evolve it into like, lightning and thunder, that would be cool. I'd be okay with that. But just getting rid of Black Lightning, I don't understand it. It lasted as long as it did. Yes. Well, he's got young 20 something hot daughters. True. Black Lightning. Ah, that's- I didn't even like that character that much. Yeah, Thunder and Lightning were good. You all you're doing is getting my hopes up, just like the Black Canary, the Arrow show. What was that show? What was that show going to be called? Arrow and the Canaries, or Canaries? something like that. Well, for those who don't know what we're talking about, in the Arrowverse, they flashed to the future during the Crisis story that sort of ended last season, where Oliver Queen died and sacrificed himself. That show ended, and we got to see his daughter being the new Green Arrow. And what the show was going to be was this. Yeah, and what the show was going to be is this future version of the Arrowverse with his daughter and her brother plays the role their mother Felicity Snow had taken before, where she was like the tech person, so he's the tech person and she's the Arrow, and they had a bunch of different versions of Black Canary. I guess I'm not too familiar with the future world, but I think you said that there was a bunch of it prior to last season. I hadn't watched. I dropped Arrow from my viewing a long time ago because it got kind of silly. Well, sillier, I should say. And I just couldn't stick with it anymore. It was just frustrating me. I was like, I can't deal with this. But I got back into it for that last season, and I enjoyed her characterization. I thought it was cool from this future world. It was fun, and I was ready to watch that show. I was 100% down for it. It did have some Batman Beyond elements. I liked everything they were doing about it. Just I was 100% in for it, but I don't know why. Yeah. You know what it would have been too. Like it would have been a very female facing show. Maybe they thought they had too many of those. Um, you know, Supergirl and Batwoman. That's what I'm saying. I think maybe they thought they might have too many of them. You know how they sometimes say, you can't have too many people of the same ethnicity on a show because it throws off the balance or whatever. All that stupid bullshit racist stuff that they say. I mean, there's that great episode of what's it, Master of None where they talk about that how they he was trying out for a part and they didn't want to have two Indian people. Like we can only have one Indian person. And it was like, but why? What is the reason for this? There's a world in which two Indian people can be friends with some white guy. Like, what's up? But yeah, okay, so yeah, that came back, and I was really excited about Black Lightning's return. And you're right, it's better to go off when it's still good than to sit around like Arrow did and become a terrible show. I don't want that, but I'm sad that Black Lightning is getting canceled. Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist came back, but it's on a hiatus now for a while. Um, as I said, I'm not liking it as much as I enjoyed first season, but it's a show and it's going on. And keep it up. Well, I mean, so they had to evolve the show to keep it going. It couldn't keep, yeah, especially since, but also the theme of the show is about change and taking, so to keep everything static would be against, you know, that's what I said. I'm okay. I'm lukewarm on it right now. Maybe it'll it'll get better. Let's see what else came back. Young Sheldon came back for its third season, I think, or fourth season, maybe. I don't know. I enjoy the show. It's great. It's very funny. It's got a fantastic cast. As I said before, I've never watched its parent show really. Maybe a part of an episode here or there. But Annie Potts rocks it as his grandmother. It's a very funny. It's more of a show about a family that has like a person who's really smart in the family, and it's very obnoxious. Um, and it's not like just making fun of nerds the whole time. It's making fun of him being a weirdo. But actually, I think in this show, I think they don't make fun of his nerd things as much as just part of him. Yeah, that was my interpretation. Yeah, it got big money. And speaking of big money, the actress from that spun spun that into something good with the flight attendant. Have you seen that show? It is fantastic. I cannot give enough props to that show. It gets a little contrived here and there, but you know what it was when you started. It wasn't going to be um, the Better Call Saul. All right, right, yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, like, it's not Better Call Saul. You're investing in it, the flight attendant. But like, it's still very good. It's very interesting. I feel like the hardest part for me was the first 20 minutes of the first episode to get through. Once I got through that, maybe really 10 minutes. But once I got through that first section and the show really set itself up to what it was going to be, I was 100% in. And thought every episode was pretty good, better than the one before it. Um, um, I think that she did a really excellent job acting in that too. Like, there's a lot of good acting out there these days. As I mentioned before, the with the return of For All Mankind, I want to just point out, just for a second, that performances in season one of that show were so fantastic. There's a woman named Chantel Van Teen, I think, who played Karen Baldwin. Um, she just knocked it out of the park in season one. Um, uh, Sarah Jones was great. Um, there's a great cast in that first season. I'm hoping season two keeps up the good performances and the good storytelling. But who knows? Season one, episode one is the only thing that's been out so far. So keep our fingers crossed. Clarice, has anyone been watching Clarice? Have you been watching Clarice? Well, I watched the first two episodes, or three episodes maybe. I watched the first few episodes of the show, and it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's an actual continuation from the movie. They use scenes, like intercut moments from the movie with it. Um, it's a little contrived. I will admit that it's nothing amazing or spectacular, but I'm not hating it. I'm gonna give it a few more episodes to see if it stabilizes. It's only, like I said, I think it's only been on two episodes or something, or maybe three. Um, and as we all know, I give every show four episodes, unless it completely offends me immediately. Uh, some shows have. So yeah, so I'm gonna give it two more episodes. I'll tell you what happens. Let's see. Into the Dark came out with a new episode um, of that movie series, which is they produced exactly, and that was interesting this month. I did. It was okay. I liked it. Let's see what else. Legacies has gone on its hiatus now after its first 4 or 5 episodes have come out. I think right. I think five actually, but that's neither the here nor there. The thing is, every episode has been excellent this season. Pretty amazing stuff. I am totally blown away by everything that I have seen. You would ask me like, why didn't I have a lot to say about this? And I was like, well, when a show is near perfect, like what can you say that it's near perfect? Okay. Well, you said you had something to say about this current episode. What did you want to say about it? Well, I I just well I'm I still have to. Well, I mean, every episode of Legacies is for me, but I did think the musical episode had some bright spots, especially since the musical episode was about the history of the franchise, basically. And as I was about to say, it still amazes me that the franchise that brought us Vampire Diaries can bring out such a great show like Legacies. And I'm not shitting on the Vampire Diaries or fans out there who like the show. I watched all 8 seasons, and it's not the worst show ever made, but it did become pretty in my opinion middling, and it was took a lot for me to keep going on that show to finish it off. But I think that all those mistakes, all those missteps that I believe that they had in Vampire Diaries, and all that experimenting they did with the original TV series. I think they used all of that together to like, oh, what they've done that was good and what they've done that was bad, and they've come up with this great formula that is legacies, that is taking everything um, and just giving us the best. Um, and I am totally every episode I'm totally surprised. I'm like, I cannot believe this is the same people who gave us the Vampire Diaries, because this show is cohesive and coherent, and every character seems to have like a place, and they're not just like there was a joke in that musical episode about a character named Bonnie who didn't really even have a part in the musical itself. It seemed, um, and she would just disappear for long periods in the TV series. And the character says, like, I don't understand where Bonnie goes. And it's like, yes, yes, Bonnie just takes off and it's not explained, and she's off visiting people or whatever, and it just feels like they didn't have anything for her to do that episode, so they sent her away or something because they needed to focus on something else. But that's not what Legacies does. If the character needs to go away, they're going to go away someplace terrible. They're like, we're going to put you in a box where you have to experience the same day for the rest of your life with your family. Uh, Good luck on that. We'll pick you up maybe in 5 or 6 seasons if we're still around. Who knows? But yeah, it's so different than what what I um, what I had come to expect from the other shows. Yeah, no. I believe it's very much like the X-Men myself, or maybe the New Mutants. Maybe if be more specific, the Young X Men, Academy X, whatever you want to call them, Wolverine and the X Men, whichever one has actual teenagers in it. Well, some of the X Men have no teenagers in it anymore, but pick an X book with the teenagers in it, and you'll be there. So what else came back recently? Let me see here. What's coming back tomorrow, I believe, is DuckTales with its episode 19 of season 3. Its last season. I don't know if anyone has been watching the new DuckTales series, but it has been fan freaking tastic in my opinion. And I'm very sad to see this one go, just like I'm sad to see Big Hero 6 go, but at least it did not get cut in half into 15-minute segments like BH6 did. Um, what else is coming out this week? Superman and Lois premiere. 2 episodes. Episode 1 and episode 2 are going to be played the same one right after the other. Starting, I believe, at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I think so too. Stubble guy, Stubble Superman. I just call him Stubble Superman. Well, I try not. I try to forget Caval, even pretty bad. American Gods. I think American Gods is on a hiatus now, right? Or is it going? No, it's not. Oh, wait. I think it was on a hiatus and it's come back. Yeah. Okay. It was on hiatus for a couple of weeks and it's been back. We're on episode 6 of it. I think I'm behind 2 episodes. Um, but I love American Gods. I think it's great, and keep watching that show. Who is and who isn't? Start watching American Gods. It's fantastic. I can't even begin to describe what it's about. Like though, it's imagine like every like rumor or story you've ever heard was true, and there were just like all these monsters and gods were just living around you. This is the world the story inhabits, and it's interesting. You go on a quest and you learn things. I guess so. Sure, sort of as well. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the show. Watch the show. That's what you should take away from this. Watch the show. What else has been on hiatus? Pennyworth has been on hiatus. Have you watched any of Pennyworth? So, for those folks out there, it's a Batman expanded universe sort of story about Pennyworth, his butler, before he was his butler. Now, in the comics, Alfred Pennyworth was an secret agent, I believe, for the government, and here he plays that role up. He was a SIS man for in World War II, and now he is running his own little company of uh, uh, soldiers for hire. I guess like imagine if the A Team wasn't as cool as the A Team. Also in the 50s. Well, I mean, but more murder, lots more murder, disturbing amounts of murder. Death everywhere you go. People with yeah, yeah. They don't build as much shit and they're not as smart, but there's a lot of that. Uh, so yeah, so his little A Team, his little Howling Commando, take into the future, and now a young a young what's Bruce's father's name? Thomas Wayne. Yeah, young Thomas Wayne and his fiance or girlfriend Martha Kane, I believe is her name. No, it's Kane. That's why Kathy is his cousin. Remember Kathy Kane, Batwoman. I mean, no, in the current universe, in the Arrowverse, even that's how Kathy is related to him. She's his cousin by his mother's side. The Kanes is his mother's side. But yeah, so that's uh, I think in the pre-crisis it was a lot more convoluted. But I think there's a video on it that Casually Comics, covers. So if you want to go over to that YouTube channel and look up Kathy Kane, I think there's a good video on her there if you're interested. She's a good resource for interesting and good histories of comic characters, in my opinion. Anyway, so what's coming out next month? Are you excited for Snyder's Justice League? 18th? 18th! Comes out the 18th. I believe all 4 episodes are going to be released at once, straight to HBO Max for those people who don't know where to watch it. The 18th is a Thursday, and it's also the day that Clarice airs. Um, uh, the next day, the 19th, we'll see the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And a week after that, on the 26th, we're going to see Invincible, the Amazon Prime TV series based on the Kirkman comic book series about the son of a superhero. It's I'm excited for that. I read the comics for a while and enjoyed those. I don't know about you. Um, yeah, so that's I think the good stuff for next month. Anything else that's coming up? Well, there are a couple things. In about 40 days, Creep Show season 2 coming. I don't know if anyone was watching Creep Show. It airs on Shudder. And Creep Show season 1 was fantastic. In about 50 days, The Never. So this is an HBO show. It's a fantasy drama about a gang of Victorian women who find themselves with unusual abilities. Ooh. So it's called The Nevers. And then a little longer, further ahead of that, season 2, the air date is going to be April 11th. And then a couple of months after that, now this is a further in the future, Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet season 2 is going to come out, and I'm super excited about that. That's the show I'm most excited about coming back. Yeah, man, like keep an eye out for some cool shows. If you got any shows you want to recommend, feel free to do that. If you got some shows that you hate and want to tell us about those too, I love hate watching shows. I feel like that's what I did through most of Bionic Woman. I was like, this is terrible. I love it. It's so bad. It's just so bad. It's terrible to watch and it's fun. Do that. Yeah, and they had the bell notifications so you never miss